I'm Mel.
And I'm Janelle.
And this is The Murder Mamas.
The Murder Mamas.
Welcome.
Welcome. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
But it's Thursday
But
here.
it's Thursday. That is correct.
That is correct.
Yes. So school has started.
School has started.
Yeah, that's a good thing. The house is silent for a couple hours.
Mine was for 3 days.
For 3 days.
We made it through 3 days of school before we got sick. So that has to be a record somewhere. Maybe not as bad as last year when Blake got COVID.
Yeah.
The first week.
The first week?
Yeah, he didn't get it from there. He got it from Bo. Who got it from daycare.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Yeah, he missed like the first 2 weeks of kindergarten with COVID. And then he went for a week, and then we went out of town for a week at the end of the month.
Nice.
And so he really didn't start kindergarten until like...
middle of September?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, well.
So,
he's smart.
Yeah. It's kindergarten. Also, the kids are going to be gone for the last week of this month, too. Yeah. So, we're on vacation. Finally.
That's nice.
The one we put off for so long.
Yeah.
So.
Good.
But your house is quiet.
Yeah. Our house is quiet. It's nice. So what are we talking about tonight?
You just want to get started?
Yeah. Let's get started. That's it. I got nothing else to say.
Okay. Yeah. You're boring.
I am boring.
Okay.
Literally, the kids went to school and I sit here all day.
You can just say that. What is that? Like audio from Reels or Instagram or whatever, where it's like, if you're boring, you can just say that.
Yeah.
If you're boring, you can just say that.
I'm boring.
Okay, so this one came from a listener suggestion.
Oh.
And I'm going to talk about the Hart family.
Okay.
Familiar?
I am not familiar with that one.
So they, I watched a documentary on them that I had to rent. It was...
You're going to keep putting that out there, huh?
It cost me $3. Because there was nothing on YouTube.
Join our Patreon.
And for the life of me, I can't remember what it's called right now because I'm on the spot.
Yeah.
Okay. No. I need to know the name of it. Thread of Deceit.
Okay.
I was not going to get that. So this one is primarily what I watched to kind of like start and jump off, and then I did some other research on it too. And this documentary specifically, I watched like a podcast from the producer and like production company.
Right.
And they basically said that they saw so much in the media like about how the family was being talked about, and they felt like the true tragedy here was being missed, which was the kids. So there's 6 kids that died.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's rough.
I might cry.
Okay.
I cried during the documentary.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot of kids.
So specifically like the lens of that was through the lens of that documentary was like basically like the impact the kids had and how they were missed by these different legal systems.
Okay.
So, the Hart family, they would meet their tragic end on March 28th, 2018 in Mendocino, California, which is like 200 miles north of San Francisco.
Okay.
The family consisted of Joan Hart, H-A-R-T. I don't know why I felt the need to spell their name. And also her name is Jen, not Joan. So, anyways, and Sarah Hart. They were a white lesbian couple.
Oh, I know this story. I used to live out there in Riverside when this happened. So it was in California, like we saw it on the news a lot.
In 2018?
Did I? No, that's not true. I don't know. When did we live there? I don't know. No, we didn't live there. I don't know. Moving on. I just know I've heard of this.
Like, you know every detail?
No.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's 6 adopted black children. So I just am adding the races of the couple and the children because it comes into play later in the story. The children were all from Texas. They were adopted in 2 separate sibling groups. The first group adopted was Abigail, Hannes, and Marquise. And they were from Colorado County, Texas. The second group adopted was Sierra, Devontae, and Jeremiah, and they were from Houston.
Were they like siblings?
They were
They're
sibling
3
groups.
and 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So some background on Sarah and Jen. They were originally from South Dakota. They met while attending college at Northern State University. Both women were studying early childhood education. Sarah was focusing on special education and did complete her degree. Jen dropped out in 2002 before finishing her degree. They were closeted during their time living in South Dakota.
Okay.
They then moved to Alexandria, Minnesota in 2004 and began to be open about their relationship and sexual orientation. They said that they lost friends when they came out.
I'm sure. That's horrible.
Later, they say, like, their families say that they separated from their families, like, went no contact, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But the family was accepting of their relationship.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the family that caused it. It was more them that caused it, probably due to differences about their parenting styles.
Right. Okay.
They both, so while they were living in Minnesota, they both worked at a store called Herberger's.
Okay.
Never heard of it?
Nope.
In 2005, Sarah petitioned the local court to change her last name to Hart in order to match Jen. They would travel to Connecticut in 2009 to be legally married because it wasn't legal in every state yet. And as I was writing that, I was like, I forgot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I didn't forget, but I didn't realize that was just
not that long ago.
Less than a decade.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. Another thing I wanted to mention, that's not in my notes but in my brain, is that you'll notice how Sarah changed her last name to Jen's last name. So there's a lot of control.
Okay.
Jen is in control. Sarah's more passive, and I'll talk about their personalities a little bit later, but there's a lot of that which comes into play.
Okay.
Also.
Okay.
Later.
Yeah, I guess I don't know as much about this then.
Good.
I don't know.
Jen would work odd jobs until she became a stay-at-home mom in 2006.
Okay.
So Sarah's working at that Herberger store. She becomes a manager, and then Jen becomes a stay-at-home mom. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the adoptions of the kids and how the kids are described by friends.
Okay.
In air quotes.
Air quotes.
I don't know how close everyone was.
Right.
So prior to adopting the two sibling groups, the Harts were foster parents to a 15-year-old girl. A week before Abigail, Hannah, and Marcus were placed with them, they dropped the girl off at a therapist appointment and never showed back up again.
To pick her up?
They were like...
That's it?
Yeah. And so I actually read something where they, reporters after everything happened, talked to this girl, and they were like, what? Can you tell us anything about, your time with them? And she was like, oh, yeah, I knew that they were getting a new sibling group. I knew they were getting a new placement, and they told me, you'll be a big sister, we'll keep you, we would never give you away, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And then a week before, they dropped her off, and the therapist was like, oh, yeah, you're getting a new foster placement.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
So bad, right?
That's really bad.
Yeah. Plus, them not telling her,
Yeah. No, that's horrible.
Or telling her the exact opposite and then having the exact opposite actions.
Yeah.
It's that's so sad to me.
Wow, that's really bad.
It's cold-blooded.
Yeah, that is.
Anyways, on March 4th, 2006, 8-year-old Marquise, 4-year-old Hannah, and 3-year-old Abigail would be placed with Sarah and Jen. The kids were moved from Texas to Minnesota after their mother's parental rights were severed. The group was officially adopted in September of 2006. In June 2008, so just a year and a half later, they get 6-year-old Devontae, 4-year-old Jeremiah, and 3-year-old Sierra. The kids were described by family friends as quote unquote a family friend. One big hug. He says that they just radiated love and would pile in for huge unprompted group hug whenever he saw them.
Oh,
It's like,
that's sad.
it's sad because you hear, like, as the story goes on, you see like what they were being subjected to, and they're still that loving towards others, which I think is, like, for me, the saddest part.
Yeah.
That regardless of all the abuse and everything.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. Another family friend said that everyone would always say that Devontae would end up being president one day. The kids seemed joyful, well-adjusted, engaging. Marquise and Hannah were quieter, and they were more like observers, so they would, like, sit on the outside, not really talk to people.
Okay.
And one of them says that, like, one friend said that the most they had ever seen Marquise, like, animated was when, I don't know, during the 2016 election, like, leading up to it, Bernie Sanders had, like, a rally.
Okay.
And a bird landed on the pedestal. Do you remember this?
I don't.
So it landed, like, on the podium, not the pedestal, the podium where he was talking. And there's a video where you can see Marquise in the background, like, clapping and, like...
Oh, wow.
It's pretty crazy.
Okay.
And she's like, that's the most animated I ever saw him.
Okay.
So now we're going to go into the abuse. The not fun stuff. Not long after the adoption, there were allegations of abuse. In 2008, while living in Minnesota, Hannah was found to have bruises on her left arm by a teacher at school. Hannah stated that she got the bruises after being hit by a belt. The teacher reported, and, like, a CPS case was opened. According to a report, there was no further action following a home visit. Sarah and Jen told CPS that Hannah had fallen down some stairs and denied all claims of abuse. So they sort of, like, look around, you know, do their thing, and then they close that case.
Right.
Which is sad because that happens more than once.
Yeah. Oh.
So in 2010, and they pulled the kids out of public school and homeschooled them for a short period after that happened.
Okay.
And then started them back up in the fall.
Oh. Okay. That's weird.
I mean, it's not weird if you're trying to abuse kids.
Well, yeah.
So then in 2010, while still living in Minnesota, Abigail, one of the other girls, would state that she was being abused by Sarah and Jen. She said that she was afraid of them and they gave her quote-unquote owies on her back and stomach. Abigail was found to have been beaten and had her head placed under cold water because they assumed she had stolen a penny.
Jesus. Come on.
A penny.
A penny. Wow.
Hannah told a school nurse that she was hungry and had not eaten all day. The CPS investigation found that all the kids were being abused and having food withheld from them as, like, punishments.
Wow. That's horrible.
Yeah. Sarah, who's not the person in control,
Okay.
would take full responsibility for the abuse.
Okay.
Her punishment was a year of community service. All 6 kids were pulled from public school permanently following this.
Yeah.
The Harts, they moved, like, quite a few times.
Okay.
Basically, as you look at everything, like, after the fact, you're like, they were moving to avoid CPS investigations.
Yeah.
So,
Of course.
so they move a few times over the next few years. In 2013, they're living in Oregon, and authorities are notified. Like, people who see the kids regularly are like, there's something going on here.
Yeah.
The authorities in Oregon, they find out about the investigation in Minnesota. So Oregon authorities were given all of that information, plus new stuff like family friends stating that the children were, like, trained robots. A story about Jen ordering a pizza and giving the kids only a small slice each, like, tiny. And then the pizza's found eaten. And as punishment, the kids were deprived breakfast and forced to lay on their bed for 5 hours.
Jesus. What the fuck?
It's like...
Why are you fostering children if you don't like them?
Yeah, and why is the state of Texas paying you over half of your monthly income?
Yeah.
To support these kids?
Right. That's why.
Why is that allowed?
Yeah.
Like,
That's horrible.
I think the most horrible part is that, like, these kids have family
Yeah.
here in Texas, that could have provided.
Yeah.
Been there, like, actual familial ties. I think that's, like, the saddest part to me, that, like, they're sent to these strangers far away.
Yeah.
And there's no, like, checks anymore once those parental rights are severed. The family gets no information. There's no obligation to provide any information. Like, nothing. Nothing.
Wow. So they're full-blown adopted. Like, they adopted all of the kids. Okay. So they can just move whenever they want.
But, like, it was unclear to me if there was, every time, if there was a CPS investigation before they got the second sibling group.
Okay.
It
didn't say.
I felt like I heard that in the documentary, but then I couldn't find anything in writing to follow that up.
Okay.
And my rental had expired, so I couldn't go back and watch it again without re-renting it. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, because I feel like if they did have that first allegation from, I think it was Hannah with the bruises, even though it turned up nothing, like, that should have flagged it.
Yeah.
And stopped them from getting another one.
Right.
You know?
You would think.
I don't know. Yeah. So there's that. The kids were said to have been forced to raise their hand in order to speak. They couldn't say happy birthday to each other. Like, just these random, like,
that's ridiculous.
Horrific. Just stealing, like, all of their kidness from them,
Yeah, that's horrible.
Jen claimed that the allegations, like, to the Oregon investigators, she claims that the allegations were simply that someone was not tolerant of white lesbian mothers to black kids.
Right.
So she really tries to...
push that card.
Yeah, push that card. Which is funny because when Hannah is like, I'm hungry, I haven't eaten all day, they try to say, like, oh, she's just playing the food card. Like, whatever that means.
Right. Okay.
What? It's like...
She's a young child. She's hungry. She's not playing anybody.
It's like when people think, like, kids are manipulating you for, like, asking for things.
Right.
They're literally kids.
They're
like,
kids.
Sure, I'm sure there are some that are, like, capable of manipulation.
Of course.
But in order to be capable of manipulation in that way, all of your needs have to be met.
Right.
Right? So, like, none of these kids' needs are being met. Like, their basic needs. There's no... What manipulation is there?
No, there's none.
It's like...
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
What? Like, I don't... And I maybe I could see, like, a shred of what they were saying if, say, Hannah was overweight.
Right.
Or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Like, maybe then she was hungry. But all of them are said to have been, like, small for their age.
Yeah.
Because they're malnourished.
Right.
But the Oregon investigators, they interview all the kids, and all the kids say that there's nothing. Shocking.
Yeah.
Right? Soon after that investigation, the family moves to Washington.
Of course.
To just skirt away from it. They live in, like, one city in Washington for a while, and then there's more claims, and then they move to, like, this fairly rural area called Woodland, Washington, where they live until the end. Their deaths. The other thing that's really interesting that they talked about a lot in the documentary is, like, how much care and attention was given to the Hart's social media presence. It was so carefully curated to be perfect, picturesque.
Right.
Like,
of course.
So much.
Everything is perfect here.
Everyone's smiling. They're looking at mom. They're playing in the snow. Like, these just, like, beautiful portraits of, like, these beautiful kids and these wonderful mothers.
Yeah.
And it's just...
Not
they're
that.
growing food in their backyard, and they have chickens, and
Right.
there's like a little farm. Like, perfect.
Yeah.
And it's so not that.
Not that.
At all. The other way that like so much abuse was able to go under the radar, even though they're being reported what seems like more times than anyone with kids should ever be reported.
Right.
They were very active in like this music scene.
Okay.
In Washington and or Portland somewhere. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It was like
okay.
The Pacific Northwest.
Yes.
And they would go to these like 3-day music festivals. So the Harts would bring their tribe, the Hart tribe, which is all their kids, to these music festivals with what seemed to me like a bunch of hippies.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like PC term.
Who knows?
They would take them there. So they'd see these people for a few days. And then they would become friends on Facebook. So then the friends on Facebook would see these perfectly curated like images and think like, oh, these kids are wonderful. Like everything is so good for the Harts and da 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 da. Like when in reality, between these festivals, the kids are just being horribly abused.
Yeah.
It's
awful.
It's so sad. So sad. So Jen was very politically active. She was a huge supporter of Black Lives Matter. She was very outgoing, friendly, reasonable, polite. Very nice, like...
normal.
Reasonable qualities for people to have. Sarah was passive, quieter, shy. She was reserved, never really opened up to people. But I feel like we're seeing a dynamic.
Yeah.
Right? That's like...
yeah.
One person's in control and the other one just needs to get in line.
Right.
She's described as calm, even-keeled. The kids would go with them to, like, protest, political rallies, like I talked about Bernie Sanders. In 2014, there's a viral, like, an image of Devontae hugging a cop with tears streaming down his face. You know that one.
Yep.
Which one?
That's been all over.
Totally viral.
Yeah.
They were at a Portland, Oregon protest of the murder of Mike Brown, or the cop getting off for that murder. Devontae said, like, this documentary, the way they talk about Devontae, like, breaks my heart. It's so sad. So they say that he would, like, go to these festivals and, like, these places every year on his birthday and raise money for, like, his favorite charity. And they show all these pictures, like, today's my 13th birthday and I'm raising money for this. Oh, wow. Whatever. Like, such a heart, you know?
Yeah.
And he would wear, like, a little free hug sign, and people would give him hugs, and they donate. Like, it was so...
wow. What a little entrepreneur. That's pretty cool.
You know. Well, I'm, like, a philanthropist.
Yeah. That's true.
So that photo went viral, and, like, overall, it seemed like it had a fairly positive reception, right? Like, people thought it was really, like, touching that there was, like, the race, the two different races, and the cops and the kid. And Jen claimed that it was received with hate and negativity, and I'm sure there was some, just because there always is. Right. And people are generally kind of shitty. Yeah. I think.
We're going to find a way to make something shitty.
Especially online.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
And so it's said that, like, this event seemed to start, like, a downward spiral. For like, her mental health. Okay. They take, like, a 6-month break from social media. They're not posting anything on Facebook. Okay. And then they come back. But, like, the abuse sort of, like, ramps up during that time. Right. And so we're just gonna, like, skip forward. So in 2017, August, Hannah, they're living in Washington. Okay. And Hannah snuck out of her second-story bedroom window and went to their next-door neighbor's house. She begged them, like, quote-unquote, don't make me go back. They're racist and abuse us. Oh, my gosh. The family, so the Harts were outside searching with, like, flashlights. Yeah. And the neighbor, her name was Dana. She was on the documentary. Like, they just weren't really sure of, like, what was going on in the middle of the night. Yeah. And they were like...
that's confusing.
she says, like, we never saw the kids outside.
Mm.
They're like, we don't really know, like,
What's going on?
what to do. So her husband goes and, like, grabs the family, and they're like, she's in here. And when they come in, like, all of the Harts.
Yeah.
It's like all the kids.
All the kids.
And the parents. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So 7 people.
Yeah.
Like, come into their house, and they're, like, just, like, barge right in.
Right.
And Hannah goes and, like, runs into the neighbor's bedroom. And is, like, hiding between, like, a wall and a dresser.
Right.
And is, like, don't, like, I'm scared. Like, no, I don't want to go back. So then Jen is, like, sends Sarah and the other kids back. She's like, I'll handle Hannah.
Yeah.
So everyone leaves, and it's just Jen. And Dana says, like, once it was just Jen in the room, Hannah is, like, turns into a robot. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Like,
I don't know what I would do in that situation. That'd be hard. If a child came running to you, I think I might be like, okay, I'm going to call the cops. And we can hash it out with them.
Yeah. And, like, Jen says stuff, too. Like, I'll get there in a second. But,
Okay.
like, Dana says, like, there's initially... So, before Sarah goes home with all the kids, Dana's like, this is making me really uncomfortable.
Right.
And that's why Jen's like, send everyone home.
Right.
But it seems clear, right? Like,
Yeah.
Jen is the main abuser.
Right.
I think it's never written in stone, but, like,
Right.
it's alluded to pretty much everywhere.
Right.
So, the kids were terrified of her. But then, like, the strangest thing. So the next day at 6:30 a.m., the entire family shows up again.
At Dana's?
Yep. At the neighbor's house.
Oh, good.
And Jen's explaining that, like, they act out because they were quote unquote crack babies, and that their biological mom was bipolar, and has Hannah give Dana a note which she reads. It's so sad. It's like she didn't write that. Like, those aren't her words.
Right.
It's her handwriting, but those aren't her words.
Yeah.
Basically, like, I'm so sorry for disturbing your peace. ESPN, what are you doing? Like, I'm so sorry for disturbing your peace. I was just really frustrated because me and my brother got in a fight. Everything I said was a lie. I just wanted attention.
Oh, jeez. My God.
And it was in, like, green marker. Like,
Wow.
They show you the letter.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like,
That's sad.
it's so sad. So,
Also, I'd be super pissed if they showed up at 6:30 on my doorstep the
after
next day.
1:30 in the morning, like,
The fuck are you doing?
can we go to regular hours, please?
Please don't ring my doorbell at 6:30 in the morning.
My house runs strictly on banker's hours. You can only show up after 9, must leave before 5 p.m.
Yep. Exactly.
That's it. But also to just, like, come first, like, spread lies. Like, yes, I mean, her mom was on drugs, but
Right.
like, it's again, like, it's like racism, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
to use that as an excuse to cover up your abuse. It's
Right.
so fucked up
That
on
is
so
fucked
many
up.
different levels. It's like, you are such a garbage fucking person.
Mm-hmm. Namaste.
So Dana told her dad about the incident. She's like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's something I would tell my dad.
Right.
And he calls the police.
Okay.
And he's like, I want to report what I think is child abuse. Like, it's not my house, it's my daughter. You actually listened to his phone call in the documentary.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, yeah, I don't know. It just seems really weird. Like, I'm not sure if it's true, but, like, someone should definitely go check it out. Like,
Right.
such a nice... So many people I feel like are like, that's not my fucking problem.
Right.
So it's, like, really nice that he tried.
Stepped in. Yeah.
Unfortunately, no follow-up was done.
Wow.
So...
What's the point of having these welfare checks if no one's going to follow up on them? Like, that's your job. You get a phone call as a cop, and then you go follow up on it. Do you not?
Oh. No. I feel like cops don't show up unless there's, like, an active crime happening.
Jesus.
And even if there is an active crime happening, like, unless it's a murder,
Yeah.
I don't think they show up.
Wow.
I mean, I haven't had to call the cops in a really long time.
Yeah.
That's not true. I didn't call them. I made someone at work. Do you remember we found a bullet in my office? That random stray bullet?
Yes.
that came through the roof.
Yeah.
And the cop was like, why did you guys touch this? We're like, we didn't know where it came from.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I wasn't thinking it came down from the roof as a stray bullet.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's like a whole bunch of stuff with the police, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that they're doing what they're supposed to.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it.
Be doing, which I think it's been like proven in court a bunch of times that like they're not actually here to like protect and serve citizens. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
That's what it says on their thing.
Yeah,
To
it's like
protect
all,
and
it's just
serve.
like all bullshit.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't want to get started talking about cops because that is a divisive topic. And I try to stay away from those. So, Dana says, again, she says that she never saw the kids. She never really heard them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, imagine living next to 6 kids.
Yeah, there's no way you would hear.
Kids
something.
are loud.
Kids are loud.
Fight.
Yeah.
Kids yell.
Oh yeah.
Even though they're a little bit older, right? Like, they're preteeny.
Yeah.
Here, teens.
Yeah.
They're still fucking loud.
Yeah.
Right? Like, my kids are loud.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we're in the backyard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Loud.
Loud.
Inside, loud.
Yeah.
It's just loud.
It's just loud.
Kids
all the
are
time.
loud.
Yeah. They really are.
Kids
6 of them.
And 6 of them, right?
Yeah.
Like laughter, even if it's not like yelling, right? Like,
It's
just
just
like
6 people in a house talking, or 8. 8 people in a house talking is
loud.
allowed. It's gonna be
Yeah.
loud.
Or outside, right? Like,
Yeah.
all in the garden talking.
Yeah.
It would be a little bit loud. She says she never heard anything.
Wow.
But she would see these pictures being posted on Facebook of like
Right.
the kids in snow holding a cup of presumably hot chocolate and like holding their dog. But she's like, they were not outside playing in snow. Next door.
Yeah.
They were not here. So then in early March of 2018, Devontae began to go to her house daily for food.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, hey, do you have anything extra? Please don't tell my mom. Like begging, like, please don't tell my mom. Please don't tell my mom. And she was like, yeah, like, I don't have bread, but I don't really eat bread, but like, here's some tortillas.
Yeah.
So she like gave him a Costco pack of tortillas and like peanut butter.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then he was starting to make like a list of like non-perishable foods. He's like, we need 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so she obviously knows what's going on. And she's always like giving it, but she also is like trying to get more information from him to have like a stronger case. I think because no one followed up the first time.
Right.
When her dad called. So he's asking for everything, quantities of 6. He's telling her that like that his mom is withholding food from all the kids. He opens up about his mother abuse, like saying like she's racist and they hate us and they're mean and they hit us and like all these things. He was again like begging and pleading, like, please don't do this. Like, can you just put the box of food by the fence where my mom can't see?
Wow.
And she's like, you have 2 moms.
Yeah.
Which mom?
Right.
And he's like, no, I have Mom and Sarah.
Oh.
So they called Jen Mom and they called Sarah.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah. So Dana says, like, I'm calling CPS. Like, I have to report this.
Yeah, I don't know how you couldn't.
And so she does. And unfortunately, she says that she blames herself for their murders.
Oh, God. No.
Because they were gone.
Wow.
So she calls on March 23rd. They open an investigation the same day.
Yeah.
Which is like, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good turnaround.
Yeah.
CPS goes, they leave a caseworker goes out and they leave a card in the door. And then on March 24th, Dana said that the car usually parked out front was gone.
Okay.
So they were gone.
Wow.
CPS goes back on March 26th. So 3 days later, they go back to check again. The card's gone, but everything's empty.
Gone. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't know that everyone's gone yet. They just know no one's home.
Yeah.
So Sarah texted her coworkers on March 24th at 3 a.m.
Okay.
Which, again, like, this family has no basis of, like, what's a reasonable time to communicate with other humans in the outside world. Like, if my coworker sent me a text at, like, 2:52 in the morning and was like, super sick, can't come into work tomorrow, I'd be like,
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Also, my phone's on Do Not Disturb, so I'm not seeing this until
Nope.
tomorrow morning.
Same here.
Unless you click the notify anyway button.
I do that with you.
I do it with you too. Does it tell you?
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah. It like...
Yeah, it gets all big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do that with you too, because I'm like, whatever. You can see me. This is important.
This is important.
This random thought I had is the important now. So yeah, she's like, we're sick. I'm sick. I'm not going to be able to make it into work.
Okay.
Which is like, okay.
Thanks for sharing at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Really, like, just very strange.
Yeah.
So, in the earlier morning hours of March 26th, their GMC Yukon SUV would careen off a cliff into the Pacific Ocean from Highway 1 in Mendocino.
Yeah.
A camper says, someone who was camping.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to check. Okay. Said that they heard tires screeching. And I saw somewhere that they said they heard screaming, but I couldn't find that again, so
Yeah.
I'm not including it, but I am telling you.
Right.
Like,
It
off
could
the
be.
record.
Yeah.
Analysis of the airbag data and the crime scene would show that the Hart's SUV was parked on a gravel turnout about 70 feet from the cliff. The vehicle accelerated to 90 miles per hour with no brakes applied before falling 100 feet off the cliff.
Yeah. That's rough.
For sure. No one in the vehicle was wearing a seatbelt at the time of the crash. Jen was in the driver's seat because, of course, she was. Right? Like, she only had been in control.
She was control. Yeah.
With a blood alcohol content over the legal limit. Didn't say exactly how much. Sarah was in the front passenger seat, and her toxicology report showed that she had over 42 doses of Benadryl.
Holy shit.
Yeah. The 3 children in the vehicle, which were Marcus, Abigail, and Jeremiah, they were found to have excessive amounts of Benadryl in their system.
Benadryl works both ways on kids sometimes. Like, it can wake up, doesn't necessarily put you to sleep.
So it said that Jen and Sarah would regularly give the kids Benadryl before long car rides. So it seems like they would know how it was going to affect them.
Okay.
And it must make them sleepy.
Random. Yeah.
Sierra's body was recovered on April 8th. Hannah's remains were not positively identified until January 2019.
Wow.
And Devontae's remains were never discovered, but he was declared deceased by a judge.
Yeah.
Jen and Sarah were, convicted of the murders of their children.
Yeah.
Posthumously. So, in death.
Right.
And,
So what happened to the other 3 kids?
they were in the car.
Oh, they were in the car too. So all the 6.
Presumably. So 3 of them were not found inside the vehicle.
Oh, okay.
Sierra was found
Right.
somewhere
Okay.
near.
Yeah.
2
They
weeks
didn't have
later.
seatbelts on. Yeah. Okay.
And then Hannah was only identified by her shoe, actually, the bones inside a shoe. And Devontae's body still hasn't been found.
Oh.
But they're certain that he
Right.
didn't
No.
get away.
No.
Which I wish he would have.
Yeah.
There's so much more. So that's just the outline. So Sarah, it's one of her coworkers talking on the thing. She was a manager at Kohl's. And they're she never told us about her family. We knew she had 6 kids, but she never talked about her kids. She never talked about Jen. Never. And the coworker's which I always thought was so weird because I have 1 kid and I talk about him endlessly.
Right.
And I'm girl, same.
Yeah.
I can talk about my kids literally all day.
Yeah.
So that is really weird, right?
That is weird.
And when they searched Sarah's phone, her last internet searches were and this is while she was driving down the California coast. It was what will happen with overdosing Benadryl? Is death by drowning relatively painless? And how long does it take to die from hypothermia in water while drowning in a car?
Oh my god. That's morbid.
She also was, there was another one that was local no-kill shelters before they left.
Oh.
And they were going to get rid of their dogs.
Oh.
And the dogs were found in the house. They're 2 dogs.
Wow.
Which is so, to me, almost funny. Like, why are you looking for a no-kill shelter for your dog?
Yeah.
Well, you're about to kill 6 children.
Children, yeah.
Right? Like...
Wow.
So the investigators in the documentary, they're like, they don't think that there was a strict, like, plan.
Right. It doesn't sound like it.
For, like, what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time anyone's seen alive is the day before. So it was, like, a Sunday.
Yeah.
Where Jen's buying, like, $20 worth of groceries.
Okay.
At a store. Like, 20 miles from where they end up dying.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it.
Wow.
There's, the mother of Devontae, Sierra, and Jeremiah. So that's the sibling group from here, from Houston.
Okay.
They had a stepfather who was in this documentary, and like a stepbrother, and like some other family. And the stepfather was like, I wanted them, but he was unfit. Found unfit by CPS, so like, okay. They had a paternal aunt whose name was Priscilla Celestine, and they were initially placed with her through foster care.
Yeah.
But the lady had to go to work.
Right.
And like a different shift. So like normally she worked, I don't know, one shift, but she had to do this other shift. So in that other shift, she allowed their mother to watch the kids. Mm-hmm. And the caseworker found out about it.
Yeah.
And so the kids were immediately removed. She was found not to be able to take them as like a permanent placement.
Right.
And the family had actually hired an attorney and was like trying to get that overturned.
Yeah.
Because she wanted them.
Right.
Which is so...
She just had to have a job to support them. Yeah, that's so ridiculous.
Sad.
Like most people do.
And so the attorney was saying like that basically like she was never not given any sort of like warnings or due process or like anything for having the kids removed from her care and being found completely unfit. Right. You know, like maybe some extra parenting classes or like some other things you could have done for her to support her or provide her with childcare. Like, who knows? You know,
something.
Like
that was that's rough.
It's just sad. It's sad how much time and effort and energy was put into like making things seem like they were perfect. Yeah. You know, and like these kids
like,
were...
Why? I don't understand. Why adopt and do all that if you're just going to abuse?
I don't know. And there was one coworker who had said Sarah had talked to them like uncharacteristically shortly before they all left. Yeah. And was like, I just wish someone would have told me it's okay to not have a big family. So I wouldn't have had so many kids. So, like, I would know it's okay to not have... So it seems like she didn't want this. Right. It was also said that, like, at a certain point, she was stopping a lot of the abuse. Yeah. And then she just wasn't able to stop it anymore. Yeah. And that's when things got really bad. So that's when Devontae was, like, going to the neighbor for food. Right. You know, like... Jen was really getting like worse and worse and worse. Wow. I don't know. Have you ever watched the show Atlanta? It's on FX. Also on Hulu. It's like a Donald Glover's show on FX.
I think I know what you're talking about, but no, I have not.
So as I was reading through this, I was like, I know I've seen this story somewhere, and like something so similar to it in pop culture. And it was in an episode of that where like a kid gets mad at his mom for like. She like hits him or something. I don't remember exactly. And it's like uncanny how close this is to this story, but he gets away in the show. So yeah, that's...
Yeah, and isn't there something... I remember that picture, and everybody said it was such a touching picture, but then there was something, like there was a backstory behind it, and it wasn't a nice one. Did you read anything about that?
So I didn't read anything that it wasn't like a nice picture. Like the backstory seems like it's what it was.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
So a lot of like the backstory or like the criticisms of it is that it's just like cop.
Right. Manipulation.
Like, yeah. But like that's not necessarily the case. Like the cop really did approach him. He was really wearing like a free hug sign at this protest.
Right, I do remember that. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah. And I'm just, like, looking right now at their picture. It's like...
Yeah, that's really sad.
But people would say, like, they would take these pictures and then, like, they would smile in a picture, and the second it was done, the kids would just, like,
Yeah.
blank face.
I have to pay my kids to smile in the picture.
Really? I just have them say, I have Blake say stinky poopy pineapples.
Yeah.
And he does it. Because if I do cheese, he goes... But if I do something that makes him actually laugh...
Right.
You know, like...
I'll get the true smile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
And Bo goes... It's a look, man. It's a look.
Yep.
But yeah, that's what people say, like... They would take a picture and then just, like... turn their face off.
That is sad. Well, that was rough.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. But I did know that one. You haven't got me yet.
I haven't, right?
I don't think so.
I always ask you. I text you, like, do you know this one? You're like, no.
No.
And then I start, and you're like, oh, yeah, no, you do. I'm like,
I forget names. I can never place names. I always forget people's names. It just doesn't register with me until I hear the story.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's
rough.
the very sad story of the Hart
Yeah.
family, especially the kids, you know?
Especially the kids. So do we think not Jen, but the other one was involved in the suicide murder? Or, because she had all that Benadryl in her.
I mean, like, it's hard to know
Yeah.
how much. She's charged.
Yeah.
You know?
She was charged. Yeah.
Like, it's hard to know how much say she had in anything, right?
Right.
Like, Jen's controlling everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, like...
With that amount of Benadryl, though, I think maybe she probably wasn't thinking that was going to happen.
You know what's really sad to me? So the oldest one, Marquise, here,
Yeah.
he was 19 at the time he died. Like, he was a full-grown adult. He didn't even have to be with
there.
them,
Yeah.
you know? But, like, I wonder if he, like, couldn't leave his real
Probably
siblings,
not. Yeah.
you know, and, like, his adopted siblings.
Yeah.
So.
I'm sure he stayed because of them.
It's really
That makes
sad.
sense. Yeah. That's rough.
Really sad. It's just sad how people talk about, like, the kids and, the people that knew them felt like in the aftermath they weren't able to celebrate, like, their life or, like, mourn for the kids because the mom, like, overshadowed everything.
Right.
Which I can get.
Yeah.
Because it is just, like, absolutely heartbreaking. That's Devontae, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. You can find us on Facebook at...
We'll just wrap that up real quick. One of the articles, sorry, that's my email. One of the articles I was reading, it had, like, the information for if you suspect child abuse.
Okay.
What to call, which is 1-800-4-CHILD.
For child. Okay.
For a child.
For a child.
Or 1-800-422-4453.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
do that.
please. Hopefully it'll help.
Yeah. Stand up for the kids.
For sure. It's sad. I know people who foster and have adopted through foster care.
Do you?
Yeah, and they're like absolute angels on earth.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
it's like,
most, no. There's a lot out there that do, like, care.
I agree. I think that...
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, did they start this with the intention to just, like, get kids to abuse? Or did they start to, like, really just build a family together, you know? And then just, like...
Realize it's not for them?
Well, and, like, you know, a little action that gets normalized.
Yeah.
And then another one, and then, like, a snowball effect. And then now you're just withholding everything because your kids don't listen and comply the first time, you know?
Right.
So it's like...
And that's why I give my kids phones. Because I can take them away.
Is that why?
That works.
Yeah. Does Avery have one?
No.
No.
She's... Really?
I don't know. You thought my kid could build a furnace, so... You know.
She's never somewhere that I won't be with her. Or, like, I won't know, like, at school. So she doesn't need a cell phone yet.
You know, so... We were thinking about getting Blake like a Gizmo watch,
Right.
which is like
We thought about
like
that for the boys.
smartwatch.
Yeah.
Just because of everything that happens at schools, and like, and then I didn't because they were out of stock.
Right.
So I haven't ordered one, and I just got an email from his school that was like, oh, if you send your kid to school with like a phone or a smartwatch, like a Gizmo watch, an Apple Watch, whatever, it must be turned off and in their backpack during the school day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well,
that defeats the purpose.
It's effectively useless.
Yeah.
What's the point of having it in his backpack? Right? Like, what if someone breaks into your school at lunchtime and he doesn't have his backpack?
Right. Yeah.
In between that and the fever that Bo has, I'm like, I'm just gonna homeschool y'all. Like,
yeah. Well, they use them in school, so I get notifications. I have notifications turned on that if the kids go online during school hours, it notifies me. But then I ask them about them, and they're like, yeah, we had to look up stuff. Like, we either use their crappy laptops or we can just use our own cell phones. So,
do you believe them?
Yeah.
You do?
I do. Because I've seen parents talk about it on a Facebook group. I'm in, like, their class.
Yeah,
class of 2027, class of 2028.
Yeah.
So people talk about it all the time. It's mostly parents complaining that their kids don't have one, and they're wondering why all the other kids have one, and that's that kind of thing. I'm like, well, it's your decision. Like, who cares if the other kids have one? If you don't want your kid to have a cell phone, then don't get them a cell phone.
Yeah.
But don't bitch because other kids have one.
I had a cell phone.
Did you?
In 8th grade.
I didn't.
7th grade.
I had a pager.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And then I finally got a phone. But it was like the minute, like it costs every minute.
Oh, yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Wasn't it like text messages?
And text messages
per letter you used or something?
No, I was just per text, I think.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, like a 10 cent per text or something like that.
Chris and I were just talking about this recently, like the absolute fear when the phone bill would come in the mail.
Yeah.
Waiting for my mom to open it and be like, who fucked up the worst?
Yeah.
Because there was like 5 of us on it.
Yeah.
Like, all right, who fucked up the worst?
Yeah.
As long as I didn't fuck up the worst, I'm good for this month.
And when long distance on landlines cost money.
Or roaming.
Yeah, roaming.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And you would roam everywhere at that time. Everywhere was roaming.
Everywhere was
roaming. We would
roaming.
Drive through Rancho Santa Fe and be roaming.
Right.
Like on the way to our house. From the house to the beach. Just roaming the entire time. And you're like, turn the phone off. Oh, man.
Kids these days will never know.
They'll never
But
understand.
see, now we can track, like, I can Apple tag my kids, put
They'll
it in their
never
shoe.
understand. Today.
Yeah.
Today I checked Chris's location when I thought he should be home, and I saw he was sitting in the driveway, so I opened the garage door. And he was getting out of the car, and he was like, that was fast. And I was like, yeah, I checked your location. He had said you were at home. And you hadn't walked inside yet. People never know.
No?
Like, kids will never understand.
No.
Do you remember what world was like before YouTube?
Yeah, I was outside all the time.
I know.
Well,
I'm like...
You didn't play inside.
My kids will never know
No.
life without instant gratification.
Yeah, right.
Like YouTube.
And then no commercial breaks,
You skip them after 5 seconds or whatever,
Yeah.
They'll never know.
They'll never know.
I remember when YouTube first started.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, I feel so old.
We're old. Or I'm old.
I'm old too. It's okay. You
I'm
can
older.
say I'm old. You are older, but you can say I'm old. They'll never understand.
No, they won't.
They've never watched TV on cable. Like, they don't.
No.
They've never seen TV with commercials.
No.
Never.
Yeah.
Which is surprising because Blake somehow is influenced by ads, but he doesn't watch any. And I'm like, I'm very confused.
Well, there's ads on YouTube.
I know. Today he said, Mom, I wish we could have DiGiorno pizza. Why do you want DiGiorno pizza? Because I saw a commercial for it.
Nice.
And I'm like, do you know why company? I explained to him. Marketing.
Right.
And he was like, oh, so even if it's not good, they still want me to buy it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's the whole thing. And he was like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, here we go.
Thank you. Anyways.
Yep. That's good.
There's a palate cleanser.
Yep.
From that. I'm surprised you didn't cry.
Yeah, that was rough.
It's just like, it's unthinkable.
Yeah.
You know?
It is. Yeah. I don't know what it's supposed to say.
It's just like, any sort of, I always, like, I always say this, and it's always true. Like, any case with kids, I'm just like,
yeah.
How?
Yeah.
Why?
It doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Kill yourself.
Right?
Right? Like,
yeah, that's what I feel
kill
too.
each other.
Yeah.
But like, why do you have to take out 6 kids?
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why? For what purpose? For what reason? And those are like the... Also, they took like the coward's way out, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like...
They killed themselves.
Exactly. Like, you should have to face...
Yeah.
Face the consequences.
You should.
For your actions. But now you get to not have to deal with any of that. You just leave the wreckage for everyone else.
Right.
It's bullshit.
I
hate it.
Yeah. It's rough.
So, who are we talking about next week?
I don't know.
No. You don't know yet?
I've been researching Israel Keys.
I'm trying to push you to finish it.
I know, but I'm not there yet.
Be there.
Be there. I don't know if that'll be next week. Probably the week after. Oh, no, the week after is you. Mm-hmm. So the week after that.
What if I just showed up with Israel Keys the week before you? I made you do all the research and then I just show up. I'm like, I'm ready to do Israel Keys. How pissed would
Tonight,
you be?
we're doing Israel Keys.
What if I was like, oh, you'll never know this case? I even build it up. How pissed would you be?
I'd probably just stare at you in silence for a long time.
I just start talking and you shaking your head. I'm surprised. I would just get up and leave. If you did that to me, I'd just get up and leave. Bitch.
Hell no.
You better be joking. Oh my god. I would never do that. Also because I don't want to do Israel Keys at all.
That's a lot of information. He's a piece of work.
Yeah, he's a bad dude.
And he looks different in like every picture. I don't know what it is to me.
Chameleon?
Yeah. Like every picture you see on him on the internet, it's like there's something different about his look. He doesn't look the same.
It still weirds me out that he got caught like in this area.
Yeah. I know. That's a
still
trip.
Weirds me out so much that he, like, I don't know, in Cleveland or something, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Somewhere.
50 miles north.
Yeah.
On the 59. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, on 59.
On 59.
Not the 59.
The 50, yeah.
My California showing. I really make a conscious effort to not say that because I don't want people to judge me. And I'm like, you're not fooling anyone anyways.
God. Everybody, when I moved to Dallas, they'd always make fun of me for saying the. Yeah. And I'm like, it's, the freeway. It's the 5, the 405.
Yeah.
Like, what else would it be?
I don't know. And people talk about the feeder road.
Yeah. What the fuck is that?
I've been here a year and a half. I'm like, I
don't know what the feeder
is. That on the feeder? I'm like, yeah. It definitely is.
What does that mean?
It definitely is on the feeder. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know what that means.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to find it on Google, so I just am going to continue to say yes every time. And if it's not, then it's not, and I'll say sorry.
Sorry, my bad.
But I don't.
No, I don't know either.
Because isn't the feeder, I think it's the same as the 59, right? Because the freeway is the 69.
You're right.
And then the road next to it, the 3-lane next to it, is 59.
Right.
So then the feeder is 59, no? Because it's feeding into the freeway?
Or is it the road on the outside that you can loop around?
The U-turn?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, like that's the feeder road to the freeway. No?
Someone from Texas, please let us know. Houston,
do we have to know this on our driving test when we
you don't have to take a driving test to get your new license.
I thought you had to like take one at some point. Like you have to redo it at some point.
Well, I don't know. I didn't have to.
I haven't had to yet.
Oh.
But, like, I know my mom's had to go in and, like, do an eye test and all that. I think it's maybe because she's older. At some point, they bring you back in to see if you're still viable. My grandpa and grandma, I asked my grandma if I could sit in the front seat one time, and she told me no, because I have to tell your grandpa when the lights turn red and when they turn green, because he couldn't see.
That is horrifying.
So she didn't have a driver's license. She never got one. And so my grandpa would drive everywhere, and then he kind of lost his eyesight, and so she would be like, red light, green light, slow down, yellow light.
What about the cars?
I was like 8 at the time. I don't know. I was sitting in the back seat, just minding my own business.
Were there no cars in Orange County when you were 8 years old? Or they were the only car on the road?
No, we were in, like, it was called Lake Forest, the city back then, and that was all the old people driving around.
So everyone was equally blind.
I didn't tell my mom that until, like, years later, and she was like, what the fuck? Can you imagine if one of your kids came home and was like, Grandma wouldn't let me sit in the front seat because she had to tell Grandpa when the lights turned red.
That is horrifying. That is horrifying.
Oh my God.
I would lose my mind.
Yeah, we were on our way to church. That's all they went. They went to church and this grocery store, and that was it.
Oh my God. Oh, that's terrifying.
It is terrifying now that I think about it.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, you really left us with something to think about there. Anyways, you can find us on Instagram at
The Murder Mamas.
And Twitter
at The Murder Mamas.
And Facebook
at The M Mamas.
Why?
Because you can't say murder on Facebook.
And our email.
The
Hart Murmur Mamas.
The Murder Mamas at gmail.com.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.